I went to the Home Depot several months ago and had an experience with a creepy guy. I normally don't shop at the Home Depot. In fact, it was my first time there in almost a year. Normally I just stick to stores like Target, Walmart, and HomeGoods, but I was looking for a new rug and also some things around the house like light bulbs. I had no luck finding them in other stores. When I went to the Home Depot, it was probably a little bit after 8 p.m. and was dark outside. I had been to some other stores beforehand. Things were very quiet when I walked inside. As you know, the store is massive, but some coworkers and a few shoppers were around here and there. I decided not to find an employee and ask them for help and instead look around on my own. I wasn't that familiar with the store and where everything was, but I could figure it out on my own. So as I walked around, I made my way towards the back end of the store. I was looking around at the rug selection, and that's when this one guy came over by me. I didn't know who he was and had never seen him before. He had dark hair and was wearing jeans and a gray jacket. When he first approached me, as I browsed, I thought that it might be an employee, but when I looked at him I realized that he wasn't. I didn't think much of it and figured he was also just looking around the same general area, but I soon left to go over and find some light bulbs. He literally walked right behind me the entire time, maybe 5 foot back. We both went the entire way. Then in the light bulb aisle I looked, and the man seemed to be looking right next to me. There was no way this was just a coincidence. It kind of seemed weird to me. I started walking away to another aisle, and when I did, the man followed. I really couldn't believe it, to be honest. I got into a random aisle and went down it. Of course the man did the same thing. That's when I stopped and turned around and faced him. He stopped as well and looked at me with a surprise look on his face. I asked him why he was following me all around the store. The man completely denied it. He said, "I'm just trying to shop." Then he shook his head and started looking at a random item on the shelf. I was furious, but just walked away out of the aisle. When I did, the man stayed where he was. I knew that he was following me around, but I just didn't know why. Maybe he thought it was funny or was just trying to annoy me or something. He had finally stopped, though, so I was happy to see that I finished looking around and wasn't there for much longer. I probably spent another 10 minutes or so inside the store, all without seeing the guy at all. I'm not sure where he went, but I didn't care. I finished and went to check out. There I paid for the few things that I got. I didn't end up getting a rug, but some other small items that I needed to get. Then I left the store and walked out to my car. I made it about halfway there when I just looked behind me. I'm not really sure why I didn't hear footsteps or anything, but I guess it was just instincts. I saw the man once again, and he was walking towards me in the dark parking lot about 50 feet away. When I saw this, I went fast and unlocked my car. I didn't bother to look back again because I didn't want to know if the guy was running or anything. I just went as fast as I could to my driver's door, got inside, then put the car into drive and left. Luckily nobody was in the parking space directly in front of me or anything. I could just peel away. I didn't see the man at all. I don't know if he had gotten closer to me or stopped going after me or what. When I made it out of the parking lot, I made sure that I wasn't followed home. Looking back, I don't know who that guy was and what he was doing. It was very obvious that he was following me around. For what reason, I still don't know. I haven't been back to the Home Depot since. My wife and I have a pet dog named Jeter, and she's been asking me to build a dog house for a long time. My wife's been asking not Jeter, although I'm sure he would too. I have built a few small projects over the years and bragged about them, so my wife thought it would be a great idea. I'm really not that good of a carpenter or anything, but I do enjoy building things if it's easy. After putting it off for a while, I had a weekend with nothing going on, and on Saturday morning bright and early I went to the Home Depot to get some supplies. I had some tools and other things in my garage, but I knew that I would need some wood nails and possibly a couple of other items. The Home Depot near me opens really early, I think at like 6 a.m. I got there probably a little bit after 8. Things were relatively quiet, and the first thing I did was walk over to where they sold pieces of wood. As I walked, I looked at my phone to remember what sizes I needed to buy. I arrived at the aisle and then looked up from my phone. I saw that the aisle was mostly empty, but at the far end stood a man who was facing the wall. It was really weird, like he was trying to hide his face or something. He was standing right up against it. I had to walk closer to him, and when I made it within maybe 30 feet of the guy, suddenly he moved. He turned around and grabbed a piece of wood. In the process, it looked like a 2x4 and was about 8 feet long. He then kind of swung it around like it was a sword. I stopped where I was not close enough for him to hit me or anything. I said to the man, "Careful with that thing." He froze and pointed it at me. The man was fairly short, had a beard and short dark hair. He then swung it around again, back and forth. I kind of got the feeling that this guy wasn't messing around. He then spun around, making an almost ninja-like move. It wasn't the most impressive or coordinated, but he did it nevertheless. Then he started walking close to me while pointing the piece of wood in my direction. I was starting to think that this guy was crazy or something and wanted to fight me. There was a random other 2x4 that was on the floor kind of near where I was. I had no intention of fighting the guy, but as he got closer, I picked it up. When he got within about 10 ft from me, I said to him, "You don't want to do this." He did, though. He swung his piece of wood at me, and I raised mine so that it blocked his. When it hit my piece of wood, he dropped his piece, and I dropped mine as well. They both went to the floor, and luckily it didn't come that close to hitting me, but if I hadn't defended myself and blocked his with mine, he might have. I turned and sprinted out of the aisle. The man did not chase after me. He stayed there, apparently defending his wooden kingdom. I slowed down and walked through the store until I found a Home Depot employee. I was a ways away from the guy now, but I found somebody and I let them know about the man. They said that they would take care of it, and I decided to look for the other things that I needed. In the meantime, I walked over to buy some nails and other things. I spent quite a bit of time actually looking for the other things that I needed, probably like 20 or 30 minutes later. I started to go back over to the wood. When I was almost there, though, I saw several police officers walking through the store. They seemed to be in a hurry and were headed towards the wood department. I decide not to walk over there and to just check out. I could get the wood someplace else, so I went to the front and paid for the things that I got. When I was doing so, several more police officers entered the store. I left to see about 5 police cars parked out front, no doubt because of the man. I later found out that he was caught and luckily didn't hurt anybody. He was threatening multiple people with pieces of wood, though. I ended up buying wood at Lowe's instead, which is another home improvement store. I built the doghouse over the weekend and Jeter loves it, and now I have a crazy story to tell people as